Every Friday night we gather around, head down to the barn where the stories abound.
All right,
Chats,
my name's Matt Arnold,
talking about everything. It's quite a
this
thrill.
is my stream. We also have Mr. Steve Harry Harris with HarrisFilm Productions here with us. We have Mr. Ken Mays here and Mr. Roy Ivey. And we're going to go over here, Mr. Roy Ivey. Mr. Roy Ivey, one question I want to ask you here is, how'd you get into fan films, and what keeps you doing it? And
well, I think fandom, brings yourself into Star Trek. I grew up with Star Trek. I remember watching the first episode. I was a young child, 5 or 6. I think as young as you could be and still understand what was happening. Of course, it's got reinforced over the years, but I've always been a big genre fan. I loved Star Trek and Lost in Space and Land of the Giants, and I was around during all that time. Just a golden age of TV. But Star Trek has always been a special spot in my life. Because it was serious. It was. It was real. There wasn't a lot of tomfoolery involved in it. It was made by adults and primarily for adults, or at least that's what I kind of envisioned it as. And they knew what they were doing. There was a reason, and there was a rhyme and reason. There was a whole universe type of thing that going on at that, and I learned what it was to be a fan, to have Star Trek and then have it taken away from us, and then that time period that seemed like forever, between the end of Star Trek and talk of a movie or TV series. It was like, oh geez, why did they take that off the air? It didn't make any sense at all to me. I felt the same way when we lost Batman. It was like one of the best shows on TV. How could you take Batman off the air? It was,
I remember Batman.
It really disturbed me.
Or the Green Hornet.
Or the Green.
Good was the Green Hornet, and there's a lot of these shows that I remember when I was a kid. Now, the Green Hornet, Fat Man, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Lost in Space, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers. You can go down a whole list of these shows.
The Time Tunnel.
It's kind of another one. And, now here's something for you, Mr. Roy. What got you into fan films? I know Star Trek, and someone got you into it. What was one of the first fan films that you got into, and how did you get into it?
Okay, well, of course there was a lot of parodies and other things, which were fun, whatever else. But the ones that did it right was Starship Exeter. They made this. These brothers in Texas, made a couple of films. They had the Savage Empire, which was more like it was a nice adventure film or whatever else, but they really got serious when they made Star Trek, the Starship Exeter, the Tresarian
Intercept, I think. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a good one.
That was a really good one. Very high quality.
Yeah.
The first one was a little campy, but it was fun,
Right.
But, they really got into it. They got in and they trained, they figured out everything they needed to do, how to do special effects. They were going to do them practically. They did models or whatever else, but they did them in a reasonable fashion, and they were really into it or whatever else. I almost went down to Texas. It was just a little too far for me at that point, to get all the way to Texas to do something with them, But I contributed to the project, monetarily or whatever else. But it was just like they had the right idea, and they were fans.
Right.
Okay, they were fans. They weren't actually connected as far as being actors, directors. They were, but they knew what they needed to do to make a good Star Trek show.
Right.
So they really obsessed over it, and they worked really hard to do that. So I think Starship Exeter gets a lot of credit for that. And then they made that set in Texas. That set eventually, is historic. That set eventually moved to Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma City.
It got stored, put away, and then got given to another group, because they wanted it to continue, whatever else, and they had to do some rebuilding and all kinds of other stuff, and they had to work it, and it was very, it was like in a backyard garage. It wasn't in a garage; it was at a business in a warehouse, unheated, and it only had half of the warehouse, and it was just like a piles of junk, on the other half, or whatever it was. But it was nice. They got it. The price was right, and they set up in Oklahoma, and they started making Star Trek. They tried. Now, some of them worked, and some of them didn't finish. Like a lot of
videos is a legend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had Star Trek Ajax. You had Star Trek Starship Melbourne. Valiant was involved. I don't know if they shot anything there or not. And the Republic was another group. Some of these groups made it farther than others, and some of them shot footage, and some of them didn't quite get there. Some of them only got the writing stage. It's just so much you had to do to get these things up off the mat. So, but hey, they had that set. The bridge set was just wonderful. With it was just like on TV. They made it just like it was on TV, and I made a couple of pilgrimages to Oklahoma for various reasons or whatever else, and wanted to get involved in that group down there or whatever else, and and then I was involved in acting. I've done other acting stuff. I've done improv. I've acted in movies that came to St. Louis. And did something for the Sci-Fi Channel. Did something else for other independent movies that were made in St. Louis, and some of them got distributed and whatever else. And most of them were background characters in the back. But hey, anything to be around that sort of stuff. So that was cool. So I got involved with the Melbourne, and then I had my opening with that, and I think we've discussed that some before. If you want me to go into it, but
tell us a little bit about your character and where and how this character come about.
I didn't have an opening at first, or whatever else, and I talked to Vance and got involved, and I asked them about some pictures or whatever. Well, they had an opening they had a captain and an admiral, and then their captain wasn't available when it came time to actually shoot. But they had an admiral, Michael Sylvester. He would have been Vanden Boss, but he knew all the lines, and he moved over to captain, which was a bigger part.
Right.
On the Melbourne or whatever else, which opened up a spot for them needing another Admiral Vanden Boss or whatever else, and I had made my, presence known or whatever else, and they thought that they were looking for an admiral that didn't scream out "evil admiral," and they saw me, and they also wanted somebody that could have the gravitas to be believable as an admiral.
Right.
You know,
You
so
can do a good job at that.
Yeah.
Admiral Van Boss started off life as from the Melbourne, created by Vance Major Owen, a friend of Vance who he grew up with, you know, and he was originally going to be Michael Sylvester or else, and then I came in, and when he moved over to captain of the Melbourne, or else, unfortunately, the Melbourne's adventures were cut short, and so I'm glad I fit that bill, for them, and I grew over time, and in many episodes of No Budget Productions, Constar Chronicles, and you've seen one end of Van den Bosch. Well, not end, but at least his end result in Constar the Motion Picture. So if you want to find that out, you can watch that, which may be different than what happens with Admiral Van den Bosch in our films with Harris Productions,
Yeah.
which is in
Yeah,
an
Constar
earlier
78.
version.
Right.
Yeah, could this
Yeah,
be
sorry.
the twin of the other Brandon Balls? Is that
Are you an
the other
evil
one?
twin?
There's always possibilities, but I don't believe. Yeah, I think that there's always possibilities. There's a vast multiverse, and there are some options even you've thought of that that could explain this situation. But I tend to believe that it's all different universes, and we're talking about a whole different time. There's a lot of differences between the Task Force 78 universe and others,
Constar.
and we cross over in a lot of areas, and other areas we don't.
Yeah.
So I'd also like to mention a few other productions I'm in. If you want to follow me in Men at Desk Productions or whatever, I'm doing another admiral. I've been typecast as Nolan Moore in a audio drama series, with the Star Trek Venture, and that's some great writing involved in that. So if you want to follow that, you could look up that. I've done some Doctor Who stuff with Men at Desk, which is also a lot of fun, whatever else. And so if you want to follow me there, that would be great.
And don't
if
forget you with HarrisFilm Productions as well.
Well, yeah. You just had two big films pop up. You had
he just
Halloween
had
2267 and Holiday Hours 2267.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff for Christmas lately. Whatever else, and the Ghosts of Christmas,
Ghosts of Christmas
Past.
That was a good one.
which is a fantastic movie. I urge you to go out and see that. Whatever else.
It's on No Budget Productions.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do a shout out to Vance Major. Not only has he given us moral support and allowed us to share some of our videos on his channel, but he sent us actors like Roy Ivey and said, you have my blessing. You can have Admiral Van den Bosch, the actual character. So some of the characters that are coming over from the Constar universe have their same character names, and others are from the Constar universe, but acting as a new character. So just be aware of that.
All right. You did an excellent job being Admiral Van den Bosch.
Yes.
And I'm glad to have you in HarrisFilm Productions, and every one of you been in. You did an excellent job, and I really appreciate everything you do. My name is Matt Arnold. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching. And I hope you enjoyed our mixed up a little show. We have some great people here, and I'd like to thank each one of them. And I hope to see y'all the next time.
Come back and see us now, won't you?
Check out Kenneth May's films and Harris Film Productions.
Well, every Friday night we gather around, head down to the barn where the stories abound. Match Chats is the show where we all spill, talking about everything, it's quite a thrill. We chat about Star Trek and sci-fi gleam, fan films and dreams, they ain't just a scheme. From Captain Kirk to the galaxy far, Match Chats takes us wherever we are. So y'all drop in and visit a while, pull up a chair, you'll leave with a smile. From music to lawn care, we cover it all. Match Chats is the place for one and all.
Let's see if I can figure out how to stop.
One and all.